everybody wants to be a millionaire. But did you know that online courses is minting new millionaires every single day? Our next guest is called the Millionaire Maker, and she is a legend in the online course game. And I promise you, you need to pay attention to this interview if you want to be a millionaire in real life. Not hypothetically. If you really want to learn the game on how do you take your knowledge and turn that into millions of dollars, then stay tuned. Let's get it.
Pay attention and listen, we about to teach class. Inside the vault, my man Ash Cash. So get your man right. Thursday nights, 8 p.m. You see him, change your life. Millionaire mindset, the best on earth. Blueprint, the wealth, the knowledge network. So get it while you can, and he's standing right here. Just come inside the vault and see black millionaires. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Come inside the vault and see black millionaires. Oh yeah, oh yeah. You won't ask cash, you can catch it right here in the vault.
All right, so welcome to another awesome episode of Inside the Vault with Ash Cash, the greatest money mindset show on the planet. Listen, we help you live in abundance spiritually, practically. We help you take your business from 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures, and wherever you want to take it to live your best life. When I tell you that we have a living legend in the building, right? I've been in the financial education space for over a decade, and I knew nothing about online courses until I saw this young lady online teaching about online courses before everybody had a course. She is the Millionaire Maker. Matter of fact, this is what I'm gonna do, right? I wanna read you her bio so you can understand the type of caliber we're dealing with. Danielle Leslie is a believer in infinite possibilities and the creator of courses from scratch. She was called a unicorn by Afrotech for growing her online courses to over $20 million in 4 years. She's been called the Millionaire Maker by Forbes because her members have made millions from their own online courses. She's helping leverage their culture advantage to create online course businesses that are as unique as they are. She's spoken for Meta, Afrotech, Blogger, Teachable, Kajabi, and more. She's an NFT collector, investor in Yuga Labs, and founder of Since 3000, her forthcoming NFT collection. She lives in Brooklyn, New York, and is a shining example that we are all alchemists, all born with the power to transform our thoughts, words, story into dream, business, and life. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for the living legend, Ms. Danielle Leslie.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Thank you, Ash.
I had to read that.
Thank you. Like, I feel so hyped. Oh my God. No, but thank you for having me. This is amazing. Like, it's really an honor.
And you know, like literally, right? Because I just want people to know the caliber, right? Because everybody has an online course right now. Everybody's entering the space. And it almost seems like the space is getting crowded. COVID, helped in that. Everybody was home. Digital entrepreneurs were like, all right, let's make it happen. Mm-hmm. But literally, you've been in the online teaching space before it was cool to do so. Before I even met you, like I knew who you were. And I've seen you do some amazing things. And so, and that's why I wanted to read the bio because, $20 million, right? Like that's not an easy thing to do. And honestly, I love the fact that, you believe in infinite possibilities, right? Because, we know that your thoughts become things with the right action, with the right belief system. And we like I already know this is going to be a great interview. But before we get to all of the wonderful things that you've done, in your words, who is Danielle Leslie?
Oof. I want to touch on a couple things you said though.
Yes.
Because you mentioned there are so many people coming into the online course space, which I freaking love. Like when I came into the space, I didn't see us here.
Yeah.
I saw like 1 or 2 people in general in the space. So what I want people to know is like, even though it seems like everyone has a course, it's because we are all looking to learn from each other. And everyone has a unique set of experiences that there are like we want to learn from us. So I want everyone to know like it is not too late. Like you are right on time. The demand is growing faster than the supply is. So all of us still have an opportunity to turn our story into something. And so who is Danielle Leslie? Huge believer in infinite possibilities in IP. When I think about IP, it's our intellectual property. So when I look at our parents.
Wait, hold on. That's a bar, right? Infinite possibilities, intellectual properties, IP. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I ain't want them to miss that.
For real, you know? Like if you think about it, our parents, right? I knew growing up, the dream of my parents, the American dream was to buy a home. It was about owning physical property. Physical property was the asset to build generational wealth that you could pass down. That was the asset. And what I've seen is a transition from physical property to intellectual property. And what really demonstrated that, and you know, of course, when we say intellectual property, just to break it down, right? It is, like you said, our thoughts, our story, our identity, like whatever I have that's unique that I put out in whatever form, whether it's a book, it's a blog post, it's a social media post, that's all IP. But when we put it into something like an online course, we own 100% of it. When we put it on our own platform and sell it, we can own 100% of it. So what really sealed the deal on this transition for me, for like our generation and future generations looking at IP differently as the new vehicle that has no ceilings, was thinking about how I was talking to my business manager one day, and I'm like, and this was when I had come into a lot of cash, and I was like, yo, like, what do I had like, you know, multiple hundreds of thousands in the account, and I'm like, this is wild. Like, people are telling me I should buy real estate. Like, what should I be doing? And he said, how much real estate does Oprah own? And I'm like, I don't know, Justin. And he's like, I think like 800 million. And he's like, why do you think she owns that much in real estate? And I said, because it's a good investment. And he said, because she made so much money from her IP that she needed somewhere to put all that money to keep it in her house. Literally and figuratively.
Right.
So what I took from that was there's a transition. If you think about physical property, there's a literal ceiling on it. Intellectual property, like what ceiling? Like, and when you think about supply and demand, like we are all one of one, right? Like your story, your unique circumstances, everything you've done, you had a radio show for 4 years from New York, like your whole thing. Like I can only go to you for all of that. Like you are the authority of your experiences. And so you are one of one. So what does the law of supply and demand say? The lower the supply, the higher the demand. The higher the demand, the higher the price point that you can command. So the fact that I need to go to you and people need to come to me for my specific story, and everyone watching, like you have your set of experiences you're an authority of, we have to go to you. You are one of one. That means that we now have the ability to price it at a premium because we are in high demand because there's only one of us. As long as we lean into our story when we're doing our online course. And that's where the IP is, it turns into the infinite possibilities.
And then so how did you get to the online course creation space?
Absolutely. So it started just with my background I was in the Valley. So I went to college at Berkeley. I was kind of exposed to tech early on. I remember taking a web design class junior year. Definitely got like C-, but you know, we were in there. And Tim Westrogen, the founder of Pandora, spoke to our class. So the fact that we had like a startup tech founder talking about how he tried to raise capital and he got like 50 no's, and it was the 51st time he asked where he got a yes. So him sharing that story, I tried on this dream. What if I'm a startup founder that could start a company, raise money and sell it for $2 million? That was my dream. So $2 million was like a lot of money. I was like, this gonna set up the generations forever. Like that was my dream back then. And so through that journey, I co-founded a startup. I did a whole national tour. We did all the things. And I ended up back at my mom's house broke after that didn't work out. And that is when a friend of mine introduced me to online courses. She just sent me like a YouTube video. And that's when I was like, wait a minute. Because it was similar to what I was doing in the startup. In the startup, we were going around the country to 13 cities and organizing these meetups to help Gen Y build their personal brand online. And this was 2010. Yeah. So this was like Tumblr, like this was pre anything today. But we were obsessed with that. Yeah. So that made the transition to like, online courses very seamless. Because I'm like, this is another way to monetize your personal brand, your expertise. And that's when I launched my very first course, was in 2012.
Yeah. And then so now you're in this online space, you launch it. When did you know, like, this is it? Like, when was the time where you got to that level of massive success and you're like, wait, like, this is the one?
Yeah, it took a minute. Yeah. So it definitely wasn't with that first course in 2012 because I got one sale and I made $1,000. So fast forward to 2017.
Yeah.
So that is when I launched I launched Course from Scratch in 2016 and I made $20K from that first launch. And then I went into the cave of self-doubt. I was like, the course is terrible. Wow. People aren't going, even though we had the receipts, we had the testimonials, but that's what I do. My therapist, she's like, your thing is self-doubt. She's like, you doubt yourself a lot. Yeah. So that's what I did. So I went quiet for like 8 months, didn't do anything. So it wasn't until I decided, I first of all teamed up with a team. I paid like $10K for this program. They had made $1 million from a brand new business in 6 months. And I said, if there's anyone I want to learn from, is them. And they did it. They knew webinars. Yeah. So I paid 10 grand. I worked with them for 2 months. I revamped my webinar. Yeah. At the same time, I did like a program, Landmark. I don't know if you heard of Landmark.
Yeah,
okay. Changed my life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like the one takeaway from Landmark was I never realized, like when they said speak it into existence, I didn't actually know what that meant. I didn't know you could create anything with your word. Right. I didn't grow up with a lot of like spirituality, connection to source, God, higher power, all of that. Yeah. So that was new to me. That was novel to me. So Landmark, that it taught me like what would happen if I kept my word to myself. So after, in conjunction with that new commitment, this program, this webinar, I said, what if I do a webinar every week for a year? And I said, if I do a webinar every week for a year, I will make $1 million from this course. So I did that. And I would say the aha moment was when it was October, I made like, $5K, November 10K, December 20, January 40, February 130. Wow. Because that's when I just ramped up the ads. I said, this is working. I had my little spreadsheet. I was running my own ads. We started out with $20 a day. We scaled it up. I said, let's 5X it. Let's 10X it. Had the first 6-figure month. And that's when that's when I was like, okay, we figured this out. And that got me to the milli in 6 months. Wow. And I look back and I was like, that's interesting that the people I invested in, they made $1 million in 6 months. And then I made $1 million the next year in 6 months. Wow. That's not a coincidence. Right. When we put ourselves in proximity with people who have done it, our brain don't know the difference. Absolutely. They're like, that's your bestie. If they did it, you already did it too. What we doing? Yeah.
Yeah, give me a hand real quick. 20 million. Give me a hand real quick. 20 million. All right. And so
if anybody's wondering, he has soft hands. Very like, have y'all held his hands?
Hey,
okay. Just in. Very, very nice. Very nice.
And so, now like, can anybody, create an online course?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of misconceptions around what an online course is. Yeah. So inside Course from Scratch, we teach the MVC, the minimum viable course. And this is from me working at Udemy. Like back in 2012 to 2015, I was working at Udemy. And if folks aren't familiar, it's like the Amazon of online courses, right? Yeah. Biggest marketplace of online courses. And I was there in the beginning, like before courses were a thing. Yeah. And luckily, I got trained by some of the most brilliant minds in the Valley. And I learned how to coach people on launching their courses. I learned how to market, just all the things. And so while I was there, I learned that a lot of people get stuck on creating, quote unquote, the perfect course. So they're like, I got to film the videos. I got to edit it. I got to get an editing team. I got to like have the whole makeup and the this and the that and the website. And what I learned is the way to approach it is how you approach a startup in Silicon Valley, the lean startup methodology. Get out the ugly rough draft version first. Yeah. What is the done is better than perfect version? Yeah. What is the minimum viable course? Yeah. So I borrowed the minimum viable product for courses. And as soon as I started coaching people on that, People started launching in like 30 to 60 days because they were doing a live. First of all, they were pre-selling the course, and all you need to pre-sell is know. I teach the CAR framework: concept, action, result. But you learn the CAR framework on how to transform your story into teachable milestones. So how do I take my one, result that I've gotten, and I have the RES framework: results, experiences, and skills, and it's the RES framework because it resonates with the market because it's your results, experiences, and skills. It resonates with the market and it commands respect, RESPECT in the market because again, it's leveraging your expertise as the only person who has your experience. So when you take the RES method, you convert that into teachable milestones, 3 to 5 major milestones. That's all you need to start getting on the phone, to start connecting with people at events and start saying, hey, I can help you go from point A where you are to point B where you want to be. These are the 5 milestones you need to follow. By the way, I did this. Are you ready to partner with someone to do it? And then you coach them through it live and boom, you did your first course.
Hey, how you guys doing? Hold on, don't press that button because that's what I do every time I'm looking at an ad that I don't want to see. This ad just happened to be life-changing. I just happen to own one of the biggest home healthcare companies in the state of Georgia. I can help you create your own. Just to give you a little bit of insight, I send out registered nurses, LPNs, and CNAs to take care of people inside of the homes that cannot take care of themselves. But guess what? You don't have to have any medical background and you don't have to have any medical knowledge. So if you're wanting to change your life and you have a passion for actually taking care of people, then go ahead and sign up for Home Healthcare Blueprint. I'll see you guys later.
Hold on, y'all. Let me unpack that for y'all. So listen, if I understand correctly, right, what you're saying is that number one, most people believe that they have to hire the whole crew. They got to have the editor. They have to have everybody. But like in Lean Startup, you have the minimum viable product which says do it, just do it, right? You don't have to do it perfect, but do it, prove the concept, right? And then so you do a minimum viable product. You've taken that concept and created the minimum viable course, which allows you to just do it, right? And then you find what you are expert in, where you have your story, and there's people out there who you can help get a result based on what you've been through, right? You tell them, hey, I can teach you how to get from this point to that point. You now pre-register them, so you don't even have to record the course.
Nope.
You pre-register them. You say, hey, I can do this, right? Which is part of the MVP model because you're not putting all this money into it, right? You're getting the money in advance. You're seeing who's interested in this thing. And then once you get people interested in it, you actually teach it live. You turn on your webcam, your camera, whatever, you teach it live. And then once you teach that live, right, what do you do with the content? Now that content is packaged and that is your course.
Yes.
And that's what you're selling.
Exactly.
Wow. Wow.
And thank you. I get excited and I start talking fast. So thank you for breaking it down and like running it back. And can I give you an example? Because I think some people, because you asked, can anyone create a course?
Yeah.
And I think some of us think that it's got to be on business. It's got to be on making money in order for it to be successful. There have been courses on all kinds of things. So I'll give you 2 examples. One is Alicia Price. She grew up, and I'm going to show you how she took her story, her upbringing, right? Results, experiences, and skills. She took that and translated that into a teachable framework and was able to make $13,000 in 60 days. So she grew up in a single parent household with a single mom. And when she became an adult, she had a son and she ended up as a single mom. Now, the difference is she was able to successfully co-parent with her son's father. So she had an amazing, healthy household that she created through co-parenting. So she developed her skill of co-parenting. In the job, in the 9 to 5, she did mediation and problem solving. So she was sharpening her skills in communication at the job too. So what she realized is, there are so many other single moms who would love to learn how to create a successful co-parenting household. And I can teach them how to do that. So what she did is she created her framework and she asked herself, what's the first milestone somebody needs? Maybe it's a vision. What is your vision for a healthy family? that's your first assignment. That's the first milestone. I'm going to share what my vision is so you can learn from example. I'm going to set the timer for 2 minutes and have you write yours. And that's going to be the result that you get in that first milestone. And then the second week, we're going to go to the next thing. So she turned it into a program. And not only was she able to teach single moms one-on-one or in a group setting live, but she also found a nonprofit organization that works with single moms that had the budget to support them.
Wow.
So when I say like you could create a course on anything, it is because you can create it on anything and everything that you are. Anything and everything that you've been through, that you've overcome. Another one is Cindy. She is amazing. And she had fibroids, and Black women, I have fibroids as well. And I didn't learn it until like last year, which is wild. I'm like, how did I learn this so late in my life? But we get it higher than any other race of women. And so what she did is she had debilitating fibroids. And she took 30 days where she ate clean and she reversed them. She like healed herself naturally from the fibroids so that she didn't have to get surgery. She didn't have to take meds. And so after doing that, she's like, I have people asking me, like women are like, how did you do it? So she was able to create a program and help other Black women heal themselves from fibroids naturally without the surgery or anything like that.
Wow.
So I'm telling you, like, this stuff is life-changing. And the fact that we can learn from people who look like us makes it that much more powerful.
Yeah. And I love that because, like I'm an author. I've written 12 books. I've also been able to teach other people how to write books using their story and using that story to provide value and a solution for others. And it's actually similar, right? It's really just saying that, you are the expert of your life, like you said, and being able to, take that expertise and now help others, right? There's this term, though, that I hear often called imposter syndrome, right? And I believe what stops a lot of people from, starting online courses or even, turning on that camera to teach is because they feel like they haven't reached to like a certain level in life to be able to start teaching. How do you, what's your advice for that person that's like, I have imposter syndrome and I'm not ready to put my life out there yet?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think imposter syndrome has become a scapegoat term and a blanket term that dismisses us from doing the deeper work to find out what's really stopping us. So I think we use it like ubiquitously to describe why we're not doing something, why we're not able to do something without digging deeper. And I just know this from experience. Right. So I had to dig in deep and ask myself, why am I afraid to shoot these videos, to even go live on IG or to go to this mastermind, to be in this room, to even be on a show like this? Like, why am I scared? Why am I not reaching out? One of the things, and I encourage everyone to ask yourself, what is it? One of the things for me when it came to putting myself out there. So when it was time for me to record my course, what I learned is I was afraid of being judged by others.
Yeah.
But in reality, the only judge is me.
Right.
The only judge is me.
Yeah.
So what I had to do is sit with myself and say, why aren't you accepting yourself as you are? What's there?
Yeah.
Why are you, when you're showing up as yourself, not celebrating yourself and showing yourself gratitude? Yeah. What is that? What does that stem from?
Yeah.
So I think we have an opportunity to go even deeper. When it comes to imposter syndrome.
And what was that like? How did you get past that though? Like, because that's a great question, there's a lot of people who, like even as you were saying, like as you were asking that question, I started thinking of myself, right? And in some places that I don't show up, right? Oddly enough, like a lot of people might see my personality, they might see me on camera and they might think like, oh, now Ash, you good. But the truth of the matter, there are a lot of spaces in which I don't show up. And I'll give you a prime example. Like I've always known the power of masterminds, and I've had the money to join high-level masterminds, but I never did it. Part of it was, I was scared to show up, right? Because, I was afraid to be around other high earners and people who were, operating on higher level, because I created a story for myself that said if I was around, so I painted other high level entrepreneurs as people who did not have a balance in life, right? Like they sacrificed family for success. And because I made that story up, I said, I don't want that. I don't want to be around them because I know that I will turn into them because I'm a competitor. So I'm going to be them, but I want to spend time with my wife and kids. And so I said, no, I'm not going around them. And I shunned it for so much, but I made that story up.
Wow.
I made it up because when I finally went into these spaces, they're in the spaces with their family.
Damn.
Right? And so I made that up. And so for you, and so even when you were asking that question, I was like, oh, I had to ask that question for myself as well. And so for you, what was that aha moment? What was that thing, that revelation that you had?
Absolutely. Can I share I'll share one thing that came up for me when you were talking about being in the space with others. Because I find that whether it is joining or going to an event where there are other people there and I'm like, I don't belong there. And then we use the blanket term imposter syndrome, or it is showing up even online on social media. One thing that I do, and maybe I'm sharing this because maybe others can relate, but I tend to idolize others. So I will idolize them. And the definition, what happens functionally when you idolize someone is you put yourself down.
That's good.
You say that you are less than them.
Yeah.
And so what I had to do is just start recognizing the pattern of thinking, oh, the reason I'm not going is because I think I'm idolizing them and therefore putting myself down.
Right.
So I think first thing is like awareness, right?
Yes.
So for me, how I got over it, accountability, good old fashioned accountability, putting myself in proximity with others who were either already there or others who were mirrors for me. So when I think about my circle, I really believe in like a kaleidoscope, right? A kaleidoscope has all these reflective sides. And when I think about my life, I like to have it be as much of a kaleidoscope as possible and surround myself with people who can reflect back. Because guess what? Like you can see the blind spot. Like you can reflect and show me what's in my blind spot. I can't see it.
Right.
So what I started to do was that. So I would, for instance, it was as easy as I had a girlfriend. We had a private Facebook group together and we did a daily accountability check. And this was when we were just starting. So we were still working full-time gigs and we were trying to get our side hustle going. So every day at 9 a.m. we would say, this is what we're about to do today, boop, boop, boop. And then at 5 p.m. we would check in the group and say, I did this, I didn't do this, this is what got in the way. Here's my intention for tomorrow. So it started there and then it moved to joining like groups where we would meet every Monday at 5 a.m. And we would have a spreadsheet and fill it in and check it in. And then it moved to programs, right? So inside Course from Scratch, we really prioritize accountability partners. So as soon as you join, we help you find an accountability partner who you can check in with every day. And then we have daily live classrooms. So we actually have Course from Scratch coaches who show up every day, Monday through Friday, to help you get in the live classroom so you can show up 1 hour a day to work, do the work, and get your milestone done.
Wow.
So all those things, my experiences helped inform also how we can support our students to let's get out of our own way.
Wow. I absolutely love that. And I think that that's so important, especially as like we said, we talked about this online course space. It's important that there is that accountability because when you look at the stats that say less than 7% of courses, like people actually finish courses. And so adding that accountability inside Course from Scratch is actually, helping to combat that narrative. So that way, people aren't just spending their money, but they're actually investing their money in something that they're going to get the result from because you're holding them accountable, right? Forbes called you the Millionaire Maker. Why did they call you that?
Yeah. Can I circle back to what you said previously?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Only because this is an unpopular thing to say. You just highlighted that there's like a 7% completion rate in courses. And I know that we love to share these stats about completion rates in courses. It's an abomination. It's terrible. And what I have realized is it's not about the completion rate. It's about, did you get the result? And the fact is, most people don't need to complete the entire course to get the results. Especially if you're entrepreneurial and you're self-motivated and you're driven, which people who take online courses tend to be, then most of us, we gonna get to like module 3 and then we'll be like, I got this. Let me skip around. Let me boop, boop, boop. I made my 10K. Like, what's the next program? Let's go. So I just don't want us to get caught up in the completion rate. Like, it's really about like, did your student get the result? Did you get the result? That's it.
Hey, wait. I know you want to watch this next video, but listen, if you are an entrepreneur, business coach, business consultant, or a small business owner who has a story and wants to learn how to create multiple streams of income from your story, I need you to text me right now, my book, to 646-687-4152. That is my personal number. I have been an author for over 12 years. I've written 10 books. 4 of them have been bestsellers, and I've sold over 100,000 books. But I've also helped a lot of my clients take their expertise and put it into a story, then create multiple streams of income from that. So I want to help you do the same thing. So text my book to 646-687-4152. All right, let's go back to the video.
Yeah, you look, first of all, I love that, right? Because behind the scenes, we were talking about stats. You're like, I hate stats, right? And I get it, you know what I'm saying? Because there's a stat that I hate that says that by 2053, the black median wealth is going to be 0, right? And I'm like, are you mad? Like, that doesn't even make no sense. Like, I know more young black millionaires than I've ever seen in my life.
Speak that.
So how can you possibly say that by 2053 the median wealth of the black community is going to be 0? It's BS, right? It is people who are trying to push a narrative that doesn't make sense. In fact, usually stats are skewed. Stats are based on old data, right? And so when people are potentially measuring wealth by home ownership, let's say, and private home ownership or personal home ownership. Well, what if I own a home and I put it in a trust because I know about financial education? I know that I don't want anybody to come sue me, and so everything I buy is in my LLC name. Everything I buy is in my is in my trust. My trust is not black. My trust is not white. My trust is not Asian, Latino. It is not covered in the census. So miss me, right? Miss me with that. In fact, I keep spreading that narrative because it's absolutely false.
We're building back here.
Right? And so I love that you bring context to that, because I think that whole notion of the stats and the completion rate and all that stuff is honestly deterring people from doing what they should be doing to move their life to the next level, right? And so as, Forbes, right, called you a millionaire maker. As a millionaire maker, like, why wouldn't people jump into the thing that is minting new millionaires on a daily basis, right?
Yes.
And so talk to us about this millionaire maker, right? Why does Forbes give you this distinct honor of having that title?
First of all, that was wild.
Yeah.
It felt really good just because, like, I get to see it in the community, but I only see like this much of it. How much people are really changing their lives.
Yeah.
And so what they did is they realized that we were creating millionaires from our program.
Wow.
That, yes, Course from Scratch has made millions. I've become a millionaire. But also our students who take Course from Scratch are taking one course and turning it into millions.
Wow.
And some of them in a shorter period than me.
Wow.
You got Terry Ijeoma.
Yes.
I mean, she crossed 40 million.
Yes.
She did her first over $1 million in 1.5 years. Like, she has grown at an exceptional rate.
Good.
You have people like, Laurel is someone in our program. Anna, Tara, like, oh my gosh, Dominique Broadway. She did 8 million last year from her course using the weekly webinar model that we teach inside our advanced program. Follow that inside CFS, and I'm like, damn, girl, like, you just got started. That was in under 2 years.
100%. Yeah.
So hearing them say that was, it felt really good, especially knowing that the majority of our community inside CFS is us. So knowing that we are not only benefiting from that, but whatever we're teaching is also benefiting our community and all those and here's what I'll tell you. What was even, you want to talk about stats. So if you think about stats that I will share are stats that we have inside our community that we have measured and that are I'm going to share. So, one stat is that 1 in 6 of our students who launch their online course, they're able to quit their full-time job. They make enough from their course to quit. That might even be higher now. The last time we measured it was over a year ago. Another thing that was incredible when we surveyed our students, we asked them what were the biggest benefits. I thought it was going to be money. I thought they're going to be like, we making this money, financial independence. The number one thing they said that they got from CFS was self-acceptance.
Wow.
That was huge because I know that when we see ourselves and when we accept ourselves, that means we can extend that same empathy, that same sight to see others. That means we have people in our program who are showing up as differently as parents, as older sisters, as older brothers. Even me, like when I think about in my family, the fact that I just took my my mom and my sister to Mother's Day. My sister's going to be a mom for the first time. So I'm going to be an auntie.
Wow.
Okay, rich auntie. But it was so amazing to know that I've done the work. I don't know if you've noticed this, but like having your own business, it causes you to do the work. Like it causes you to, anything that's going wrong in your business is something that's going askew
100%.
inside here.
100%.
The faster you work through this, that's when the business starts taking off.
100%.
That's why I said, when I said I started believing I can create anything with my word, and I kept my word to myself, that's when the business took off. So what I've seen is that the more I've accepted myself, the more the business has grown, the more I'm showing up in my family as a better older sister. So when I took my mom and sister to Mother's Day, I was like just asking like, so how's the hospital visits going? Because I'm like, I haven't had kids yet. And so I'm like, you know, what's going on with the hospital tours? And she's telling me about it. And I'm like, by the way, like, how much does this cost? Like, are we like, how much is this going to be? They're like, it's all covered. And I'm like, oh, they're like, through the insurance, through your company. Because my mom and my sister work for me. They are a part of our business. So I was like, wait. So we get to provide. We get to provide for the family. Like, this is wild. Like, this online course is now able to provide healthcare for our family.
Wow. Man, that's so powerful. That's powerful. And so what is the secret, right? What's the secret to creating $1 million course, right? Somebody right now is watching and they're like, I'm ready. I'm ready, Danielle. Sign me up, right? What's the secret?
Yeah. So first I would say leaning into your IP, your intellectual property. So going back to that principle that when you make something that only you can make. So you are going to dissect your story and you're going to pull out specific results, a combination of specific results that you have gotten. So start there. So that's the first thing. And we call it your culture add. What is your cultural advantage? Like, it's not about being a culture fit. Like, it's not about fitting in. Like, what do you add that's new? Like, what is that perspective you have? So start there. And then it's knowing that when you do that, you can price your course at a premium. You're going to get to $1 million faster by pricing it at $50 or $5,000. The market is more mature now. People are on to online education. People have the disposable income because they're transitioning from full-time work to a work from anywhere business. So they have the disposable income to say, teach me something. So I would say second thing is knowing that you can price it at a premium. Because it's built around your story and you are a premium, you're teaching something only you can teach. And then after that, it is putting yourself in the rooms where you can attract your MVPs, your most valuable payers. So you talk about an ATM, attention, time, and money. That's who your MVPs are. They're paying you in attention, time, and money. You need to ask yourself, where are they? And how can I show up as the high frequency version of myself that's going to attract other people that are vibrating there, who are going to pay the attention, the time, and therefore the money. Because when you pay money, you pay attention. So that's another reason for that premium price point. The 5K is going to get a different type of attention than the 500 or the 50. So when people pay money, they're going to pay attention to you and to themselves.
Yeah.
They're going to really invest in the journey.
Yeah.
So final thing is getting into those rooms where those customers are and then having a conversation with them. So we have enrollment scripts inside our program. We have tasty content templates, essentially everything that I used in the very beginning that still works now. Just classic copywriting.
Yeah.
We don't call it copywriting because,
Right.
we don't want to scare nobody,
Right.
but everybody in our program is learning copywriting.
Yeah.
And it's really starting with what is your voice?
Yeah.
And again, how can you speak in a way that you're speaking from up here that's attracting people who are vibrating at that frequency? So that's that. And then that's how you launch. And then to get to the milli, you do what I do. You lock in.
Yeah.
So I call it a wealth habit. And when I say wealth, it's WELLTH. So it combines your well-being. So it's thinking about what is a habit that is around promoting my well-being that generates wealth.
Yeah.
That's the wealth habit.
Yeah.
For me, it was a weekly webinar. Because all I had to do, I'm an introvert. So I had to just show up for 2 hours, do my thing, and it was the same webinar. I changed that thing maybe 3 times over 2 years. I did it every single Wednesday. It was called Big Money Wednesdays in the house. Every single Wednesday for 2 years straight. I did it over 100 times in a row.
Wow.
That was my secret to preserving my well-being. I didn't have to guess, oh God, I got to be on TikTok. I got to be on this. I got to learn the next trend. Nope. This is my room. I'm a marketer. I'm a magnetizer people to me. I'm not going to be, nope. I'm going to show up right here and y'all go come into my living room every Wednesday and I'm going to deliver the message. And whoever believes is going to come on board. So that was my wealth habit. So I would say, ask yourself, are you down to commit to that? Are you down to commit to a weekly webinar? And then get yourself in those rooms to attract people to it.
Yeah. I can't even unpack which, because I don't want to do it a disservice. ATM, was it attention, time, and money?
Yeah.
Right? Like that blew my mind, right? And I love how you broke it down, because it's true. You want to be able to attract the most valuable payers, right? And also, I love how you said you want to attract people who are vibrating at a certain frequency, right? And I say this all the time because people don't realize, like you've said a lot of metaphysical things that when people hear, people might dismiss, but these things are actually as living as electricity, as living as gravity. You throw something up, it's gonna come down. And the truth of the matter is that it's true, right? That you can never experience something that you are not, right? And so if you are cheap, you are going to attract cheap people, right? If you are a premium buyer, you're going to attract other premium buyers, right? If you are, listening to a hip hop station, you're not going to hear jazz.
You ain't gonna tune into that frequency.
You're not going to tune into that frequency, right? If you're listening to jazz, you cannot hear R&B, right? You have to tune in to the frequency that you want to attract, and you have to become that frequency. And so I love that you said that, because that's the, like a lot of people love to shop on discount, right? A lot of people like to haggle people on prices, right? Like, I pay what people ask. Sometimes I pay more than what people ask, because when it's time for me to ask, I'm going to be okay receiving what I ask or more, because that's the type of buyer I am, right?
Love that.
And so I love everything that you just said. And so you're at a space where you're transitioning or adding Web3 NFTs. Talk to us about that journey and what got you venturing into that space.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, can I say something in response to what you said?
Yeah, you
before?
can, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Only because you mentioned vibrating at a certain frequency and attracting people, and how it's metaphysical, and how some people may reject it or it may not resonate. And so I just wanted to share a practice that helped me practically put it into place, that helped me accelerate my path to growing my business to the multiple millions. And it was embodying the future me now. So what I did is I asked myself, when I had just crossed 6 figures in my course business, I said, okay, the new identity I want to show up as is seven-figure Danielle. So the question I asked myself every morning was, what would seven-figure Danielle do? Would she wake up at 6:30 a.m. or would she hit snooze and sleep in until 10 a.m.?
Wow.
Is she, and not even would she, but is she? Because seven-figure Danielle is already living.
Right.
Like she already done did it. She already living. Yeah. So is she making her green smoothie, getting her heart rate up for 20 minutes, writing her affirmations, journaling? Like, is she, is she hanging out with these type of people? Is she making the $65,000 investment into the mastermind? Is she hiring a chief of staff that is six figures, who's going to be her right-hand person because she knows she's building an empire of multiple types of businesses and brands, right? So that's just a practical way for people. If they're like, what you mean vibrating at the, like, how do I start attracting those people? Be the future you now, and the future you would make an investment of 5 figures because you've already created 7 figures.
If you are an entrepreneur, business coach, or small business owner who wants to get more visibility for your product or service, then consider advertising on Inside the Vault. We have been seen and heard over 2 million times, and as the show continues to grow, your ad would be embedded in our episodes forever. So the return on investments on advertising with us is unmeasurable and invaluable. If you're interested in this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, then text PODCAST to 646-687-4152 or email us at info@insidethevaultshow.com. Allow your business to get the visibility that it deserves.
No, I love that. So we can have this conversation all day, and I want people to understand the power of that, because that is the truth, right? The truth of the matter is that a lot of people, because I actually don't really like the word manifest, right? Because people use it so much, right? And when I hear the word manifest in the context that people use it, it almost seems like people feel like they're gonna sit, or they're gonna just call something to them, when the truth of the matter, it's really about attraction, and when you attract something, you have the way that you attract it is by being it, right?
Yes.
And so exactly what you're saying, like you, if you are a 6-figure person and you are vibrating on a 6-figure person's vibration and thought process and all that stuff, habits,
behaviors.
Right? That's what's, that attraction, that magnet, that's what you're gonna get. And so in order to start to attract 7 figures, you have to not wait until you have 7 figures to become the 7-figure person or the 7-figure earner. You have to raise your vibration to what a 7-figure earner does, is, and become that, right? Believes, right? You have to become that, and as you become that, and I say this all the time, right? When you think about millionaires become that in their mind first, before their bank even knows it.
Yes.
Right? Like they become it, like you become it. You start to move like it. You start I remember, my journey as a banker. When I started out, I was a teller, but I embodied being a banker, right? While all the other tellers were wearing, shirts with no suits, I was wearing a suit. I was wearing, right? And I started to embody that. And eventually, like the vibration had, the actual position had to match up with it. So, man, I absolutely love that. And I'm glad that you kind of broke it down in that space, because, I want our insiders to know that whatever you desire, you can say the affirmations to allow yourself to believe that you can become it, but it doesn't stop at affirmations. It starts at the becoming, right? So whatever you desire, just become that thing, and it'll be yours. Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, I love that. And so let's talk about Web3, right?
Yes.
Web3, NFTs. That is, I won't even call it the future. That is now. Talk to us about that journey and how you started to take that transition.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I think about Web Course from Scratch, right? It is Web 2 all the way. Yeah. That was an expression of identity to me. I've always been fascinated by identity. Yeah. And so I would ask myself, how can we use Web 2 to bring us closer to who we are? And that's why in Course from Scratch, we start with your culture ad. What's your story? Who are you? What's your identity? Yeah. And then you build the program around that. You make a difference around that. So I had a friend who was real deep in NFTs and Web3. I didn't know what the heck was going on. It took me a whole 7 months just to understand what a collection was and Worlds of Women and all the things. And when I finally started browsing and collecting, starting my NFT collection, it started clicking for me. And I saw that Web3 we also have the opportunity to get closer to ourselves. So I think that some people, when you think about Instagram, that is Web 2 that has us show an abstracted version of our identity. So on Instagram, it turned into a place where we were showing the most polished version of ourselves. Yeah. So we were getting further away from our true essence. Yeah. That's what IG turned into. Yeah. And with Web3, we are seeing some of that happen too. People who are building the metaverse and coming up with different avatars and things. For some, they're using it as a way to further abstract even another level out of like, well, who do you want to be that is furthest away from who you really are because you don't like who you really are? Right. So what interested me was, how can I, just like with Web 2 and Course from Scratch, we've helped people become closer to themselves. How can we use Web 3 and more specifically an NFT project, an NFT collection to bring us closer to ourselves? Yeah. And so that's what we're creating. It's called Since 3000. And we're working on developing the collection right now. When I look out there, you have like Bored Apes, you have World of Women, you have a bunch of other collections. And when I look at them, I don't feel connected. I don't feel like it's a representation of us. Yeah. Knowing the people behind them, it's not us. Yeah. So I'm really excited to have one of the largest collections that has Black designers, that has mostly Black collectors, that are first time collectors that are new to crypto. Yeah. This might be their first time buying Ethereum and actually owning a piece. And what we're building out is the Since 3000 community. And it's Since 3000 because it's about embodying the past, present, and future you now. Like, we have the ability, we are the beginning and the end. We're the genesis, we're the creation. Like, it all started with us. Yeah. So what this project is going to do is highlight us as that. Yes. And the community of collectors will have in-person events to make sure that we're all like helping build the future together with each other.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. All right, cool. And so now, let's shift gears for a second, right? You are, where you are, multi-million-dollar Danielle Leslie. If you can go back and talk to 18-year-old Danielle, what advice are you giving her?
Very simply, you're good. You're good. Yeah. You got this. You already did it. Yeah. Like, you already did it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Finish the statement for me. I am
infinite.
I am infinite. When it's all said and done, I will be
remembered.
I want everyone who crosses my path to know
I see you.
I love that. I love that. What would you say is the most extravagant thing you've done with money so far?
Ooh, honestly, it's probably my housing.
Yeah.
My space is so important to me. Yeah. I'm real sensitive. I'm mostly water. So I'm like an Aquarius, which is an air sign, but then I am Cancer rising, Pisces moon. So I'm real sensitive. Yeah. So I'm impacted by my environment. So it's got to be my place where I live. Yeah. It's always been, I went from like, $3,500 for a 1-bedroom apartment in Oakland to then $9,500 in New York apartment, now $17K a month. However, what helps is having a business to run it through.
Right.
So the lease is in the name of the business.
Yes.
And it is technically the CEO headquarters because the CEO is there 100%. And we got the office there and the chief of staff is working there. So the whole thing is through the business, which makes it make sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. What would you say is the most impactful thing you've done with money?
I would say take care of my family. What I shared, the fact that I'm able to take care of my mom, my sister, as my sister starting her family. I'm able to help my cousin with his housing because he's in New York as a college student. I'm able to say I can cover your housing for the summer so you can stay here and have an internship. Able to use the points from the Amex because the Facebook ads ran up the Amex points. So we use the points to fly the family out for Thanksgiving. It's that.
Yeah. No, I love that. Right now, somebody's watching. They work a 9 to 5. They started a side hustle. They're struggling a little bit, trying to figure things out. What advice do you have for that person?
Do what I did. Get yourself in proximity with the partner. I would find an accountability partner. I would check in with them every day. I would set an intention. So I would set an intention every day. This is what I'm going to do today. Check in with them and say, this is why I didn't do it. This is what's in the way. And just set really measurable goals and work with your accountability partner to get there.
No, love it. All right. We're going to do a lightning round, right?
Okay.
And so what we do is we take banking terms and we flip them for us here inside the vault. And so our first term is deposit slip, right? And a deposit slip, is where you take a form, you fill it out, you go into the bank, and you're putting money inside the bank, right? But for us here inside the vault, a deposit slip is a slip up, a money mistake, right? What would you say is the biggest deposit slip or money mistake you've made so far in your journey?
Oh, this is good. This is really good. I would have invested in more passive income streams sooner, which is strange for me to say because I'm all about arbitrage. And I'm like, where can I get the highest return for my cash? So for a while, the highest return on my cash was to reinvest it in my business because you could put $1 in and get $100 out in 6 months. And I said, where else can I get that return? And I was just a little slow with the market shifting, with me just working only 2 hours in the business and being like, I'm gonna live my life for a little bit and not realizing, that might impact that return that I was seeing before. So I honestly would have just been a little more conservative, which is so strange for me to say, because ain't no part of me conservative. But yeah, I would have just invested at least a little bit into passive income streams sooner.
Love it. Word number 2. Is charge off, right? And so charge off, you borrow money from the bank. The bank wants you to pay it back. They're trying to get it back. And for whatever reasons, you're not paying it back. And eventually the bank says, you know what? I'm going to charge this debt off. But for us inside the vault, a charge off is what type of people or mindsets did you have to charge off while you were on your journey?
Ooh. So I'll do the mindset.
Yeah.
By the way, I love this. This is so dope. I would say the mindset. So I am a multi-passionate. I will be the one coming up with a new business idea every day.
Yeah.
And I love my mom. She is equally excited about every business idea. And she's like, all right, Danny, how are we going to do this? Like, what's happening? Yeah. So I would say it was focusing on one, increasing my yes to no ratio. And what that means is saying no to, or at least not now, to a lot of the different ideas I had and pouring into one. And my one was my one course, my one funnel. I committed to that one webinar. And when you do that, that's efficiency. You see that multiplier effect because the more you do something, the more efficient you become. And then it can go up way faster. So that's the mindset that I had to shift out of. And now that I have this core business and it's solid and it's running, it's automated, the team is popping, now I can go off and have different creative projects.
Yeah, no, I love it. All right, last but not least, right? ATM.
Okay.
But you already got your ATM, so my ATM different though.
Okay. Tell me about
you
your
already
ATM.
got your ATM, which I love though, you know what I'm saying? But I got a different ATM.
All right.
Right? So ATM, you put your card in, you get money out. For us, our ATM is about more, right? And so you've dropped so much wisdom for us. You've given our insiders so much information that I know they're gonna rewind and listen to. But for us, ATM is another teachable moment, right?
I love
if
that.
you could look in the camera There's somebody right now that needs some words of wisdom. They want to change their life. They want to level up. They want to go to that next level. Leave them with some Danielle Leslie words of wisdom, another teachable moment, something that's going to change their life.
Okay, I love this. So something that's been occurring to me is a transition that we're seeing. So when you think about machines and you think about AI, the definition of AI is artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence, that happens when you have optimal efficiency, right? That is what artificial intelligence is, optimal efficiency. So what I said, I asked myself, what does AI look like for us as humans? And for me, it is A is when you are in alignment, mind, body, and spirit. And that links to your intention. So when you are in alignment of mind, body, and spirit, there ain't no filter between source, God, whatever you believe, your heart, your essence, your purpose, and the intention. When all of those are together, that's optimal efficiency for us as humans. And that's what gives us value. That's what gives us a unique voice. And you can use that right now. So set that, get in alignment. Take the time to meditate, pray, listen to the voice, and then set that intention and go out into the world and create anything with your word, because you can.
Bars! And that was powerful because, again, nothing will happen unless you're aligned, right? If someone is experiencing poverty right now, they are in alignment with poverty. If you are experience abundance, you are in alignment with abundance. Anything that you're experiencing right now is about alignment, period. I know it's not, some people may not want to hear that, right? But the law is the law. The truth is the truth. It is what it is. So get into alignment. So I love it. Miss Danielle Leslie, man, I appreciate you so much. All right, y'all, tap in, Course from Scratch. Go to InsideCourseFromScratch.com. Tap in, check her out. You are one course away from hitting that $1 million year, that $1 million quarter, that $1 million month, whatever it is. As long as you believe it, as long as you are aligned with it, as long as you accept you for who you are, right? Your particular life is a one of one. That means none before it, none to come, right? And so you got to be aligned with that. Ms. Danielle, if anybody wanted to, tap in, connect with you, social media, where can they find you?
Absolutely. On Instagram, Danielle Leslie. That's where I'm most active.
That's it. Follow her, Danielle Leslie. She is the Millionaire Maker. She will change your life. She got receipts. She already dropped some receipts on you, so make sure you tap in. I appreciate you, insiders. Thank you so much. Every week, tapping in, trusting us to bring you the best of the best. And when I tell you, do your Googles. When I tell you this is a living legend who is helping create millionaires, who's helping you, align with your intention. Don't worry about AI. Don't worry about the artificial intelligence. Worry about your alignment and your intention. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you go to InsideTheVaultShow.com. Like, subscribe, rate, review the podcast. Let's make it the #1 podcast on the planet. Follow us on all social media platforms at Inside the Vault. Me, I am Ash Cash. Make sure you visit me, IamAshCash.com. Follow me on all social media platforms at I am Ash Cash, and I will see you next time, same place, but guess what? In God's will. All right, y'all. Peace.
Oh yeah. You won't ask cash, you can catch it right here in the vault.